My Karen neighbor kept calling the cops on my kids for playing outside, so I made sure she had real reasons to call them. Our house sat next to Linda, a bitter 60-something woman who treated children like plague carriers. She would threaten to deploy the military whenever she saw a kid playing on the street. My 8-year-old son Jake loved shooting hoops after school. One day Linda just marched over with a decibel meter app, claiming the bouncing ball disturbed the peace and violated noise ordinances. When I explained that kids playing during daylight hours was perfectly legal, she called the police. 2 embarrassed officers showed up and had to tell her my kids weren't doing anything wrong. The harassment escalated when my 4-year-old daughter Emma started riding her tricycle on the sidewalk. Linda positioned herself by her window like a sentry, timing Emma's loops and measuring distances between her property line and where Emma pedaled. She called police again, claiming Emma was loitering and creating public disturbance. When cops laughed and explained toddlers can't loiter, Linda crossed an unforgivable line. After months of failed police calls, she started targeting my children directly. She'd lean over the fence and hiss, "You little brats are ruining this neighborhood. Your parents should control you better." Her nuclear option came when she called Child Protective Services, claiming I was neglecting my children by letting them play unsupervised in our fenced backyard. The mortified CPS worker realized she'd been called to investigate normal childhood play, but the investigation still went on my record. Linda had weaponized Child Protection Services against the very act of being a child. The final blow came during our neighborhood meeting about installing playground equipment at the community park. Linda arrived with a PowerPoint presentation titled Noise Pollution and Property Values, complete with graphs and recorded audio of children laughing. She argued that playground equipment would destroy the peaceful character of our community and bring undesirable families. The gut-wrenching moment came when Jake whispered, "Mom, are we bad for wanting to play?" Linda's campaign had worked. Her proposal was thrown out, but my kids had become paranoid, worried that their childhood itself was criminal. That night, I realized Linda needed to meet real police, not for children laughing, but for her own crimes. I had been too nice, too willing to be the bigger person, but now I was going to make her pay. I started documenting everything for the next month, including police calls, harassment incidents, and inappropriate photos Linda had taken of my children. Then I dug deeper. I hired a PI who did a background check and showed me multiple restraining orders from previous neighbors, harassment conviction in her last city, and a pattern of targeting families with children. She'd been forced to move twice after neighbors obtained court orders. I discovered she'd been illegally recording audio from her property, violating wiretapping laws, and filing false police reports. I had my material, so it was time to use it. I called the same officer who had shown up the first time with a comprehensive harassment report, including dates, times, and evidence of Linda's pattern. By that same afternoon, Linda had a detective serving a restraining order and investigating her for filing false reports. Then I organized a neighborhood meeting, inviting everyone Linda had targeted. Turns out, she'd been terrorizing families for months, calling fire departments on barbecues, reporting suspicious activity when teenagers walk down streets, and even calling animal control on a neighbor's therapy dog. We compiled everything into a massive city complaint, documenting clear abuse of emergency services. The local newspaper even picked up the story of neighborhood bully uses police to harass families. Linda's face was plastered across social media as the woman who tried banning children from playing outside. Within a week, Linda was facing multiple charges for harassment, filing false reports, illegal recording, and stalking. And more importantly, the city fast-tracked our playground proposal out of guilt for harassment we'd endured. When Linda understood that it was me who started all this, she crashed out completely. She left me 27 screaming voicemails just like this one. "You ruined my life over some brats who couldn't stay in line. I hope you're happy." Why, thank you, Linda. I am indeed happy. The next day, I stood on my porch and watched the police arrest Linda for her charges and for violating her restraining order. Her bail was denied, even though she cried like a river in court. In the end, she made a lot of tantrums in court, which led to her being held in contempt and being sentenced to 2 years in prison, along with some probation stuff that I didn't understand. Since Linda's been gone, my kids have now learned that even some adults enjoy their childhood plays. We have this huge group that hangs out together, both kids and adults, in the new playground that was opened with the plaque, "Where children's laughter is always welcome."